What happens when you take your crazy sign running act to a foreign country that you've never been to? You get really nervous and really lost. Hi everyone, Runner Guy with a Sign here. And yes, I am the crazy guy that runs around holding up this sign to everyone that sees me, hopefully brightening their day. And today I'll be sharing a recent experience from my trip to beautiful Madrid, Spain. I've worked very hard over my career and have put off things like brand new cars and other things to make sure that we could be in a spot where we can go on trips. And we have been very blessed as a result to have the means to be able to go on trips like this. This isn't the first time that I've done this outside of the country. Last year I went with my wife to Paris and I had a similar experience, but I only took a couple of pictures and I really didn't get any video. When we were there, I ran down the Champs-Élysées, which is the street that goes right uphill to the Arc de Triomphe. This time, my beautiful wife suggested that I sign up for a running tour of the city of Madrid, and I'm so glad that I did, because I was able to get some really good footage, courtesy of my awesome tour guide, Philip. And if you've been to Madrid, that's great. I'm guessing that most people watching this probably haven't. So let me just give a quick background. Madrid is the capital of Spain, and just like any other major European city, it has tons of cool buildings, monuments, squares, and all kinds of cool stuff to see. I didn't realize this, but Spain actually has a royal family. There's a royal palace that we visited, but the royal family actually doesn't live in it. This royal palace is actually the largest in all of Western Europe. It's twice the size of Buckingham Palace, and it's even larger than Versailles. Madrid is also the second highest capital in Europe, coming in at around 2,100 feet above sea level, and it's kind of in a deserty, drier area between some mountains. So now that you know a little bit more about Madrid, let me get into my story. I ran 2 different mornings, and you would think out of all the running I've done for over the last year that it would be super easy to get out of the door every morning, but it's still hard even here. But doing it in a place that's completely foreign, that's completely different culture, and you're not sure where you are, it's completely nerve-wracking. You don't really know how people are going to react. And because it's a big major city, you're not really sure of where it's safe and where it's not. So the night before my first run, I spent a lot of time looking at my phone, studying and making sure I had a plan to, when I get to this landmark, turn here, when I get to this street, turn here. Really working out the plan so I knew exactly where I was going to be going. The problem was, as soon as I started out the door and started running and looking for those landmarks in those streets, I didn't see the landmarks, and I didn't realize that the street signs aren't on poles sticking out where they are here. They're actually attached to the side of buildings as beautiful tiles that are kind of out of the way of someone like me looking for street signs. So really quickly, I ended up having no idea where I was. And on top of that, I was getting really weird stares and pretty much no positive reaction from anybody that I saw. I started thinking I'd made a huge mistake. So here's the lesson in this situation. Life can be just like this. You'll find yourselves in situations where things can be scary, things can be confusing, and you'll find yourself a little lost. I'm sure you can relate to these kinds of situations. We all find ourselves in hard, challenging situations. But this isn't the time to panic and give up. If you endure it and have faith that things will work out, eventually they will, and you'll be a better person because of it. So this is what I was telling myself anyway. So that's exactly what I did. I decided, you know what, I'm going to keep running in the direction that I think I need to be running. And eventually I did end up at the park that I wanted to get to. It's called Retiro Park. It's kind of like Central Park in New York. This park has lots of running trails, has lots of cool pathways, and it's space to run. And yes, eventually I did start getting some great reactions. I had people drive by, stop, get out of their cars, and yell. I had people yelling, "Yo también," meaning you too. It was a great experience. My second run was even better. And this was the running tour that my wife had mentioned that I should schedule. And boy, I'm glad I did. It was so much fun. This ended up being my absolute favorite thing that I did on the entire trip. And Philip, my tour guide, was amazing. And he's with Go Running Tours. I'll put a link down in the description. I highly recommend doing this. Philip was so fun to talk to and knew so much about the city. But my absolute favorite thing was that he offered to take video of me and pictures of me while I'm running. It's been probably my number one challenge. I can't film myself running very easily, holding a sign high above my head. I don't have a free hand. It's been very challenging, but Philip was able to get some really good footage. I can usually only get like first person point of view, and that's about it. So Philip took me all over the city. He took me to Plaza Mayor, which is a major square in the city, and it was once the center of old Madrid. And around the corner from there is the oldest restaurant in the world. I think it's been in operation since the 1700s, and Ernest Hemingway even finished one of his books there. From there, we ran down the hill to the Royal Palace, and because it was so early in the morning, we were able to get this amazing shot of it completely empty. No one was there. Close by to there was this Egyptian temple of Dibad. It's actually a real Egyptian temple that was built in Egypt, dismantled, moved to Madrid, and reassembled in Madrid. Just totally cool. It was originally built in 200 BC, so it's really old. From there, we ran down a major street with lots of people commuting to work. So I got to run by a lot of people, got a lot more reactions again. There's some really lovely, amazing people in Madrid. We stopped at Madrid's current city hall, which you see here, and then also ran down to their own Arc de Triomphe, just like ones in other areas of the world, like in France as well. We crossed the street and made it over to Retiro Park. This time ran a different route into other areas that I hadn't seen the time before. It was a lot of fun racing these rowers, although they beat me pretty easily. Continuing on in Retiro Park, we saw the Crystal Palace. We also ran over to this statue, which I didn't realize at the time, but it's actually a statue of the devil, and is actually the only public monument to the devil in the entire world. As we ran out of the park, we stopped by the Prado, which is a fine art museum, has some of the finest works of art in the world. It was really cool to pass by the actual place where Miguel de Cervantes died. He is the author of Don Quixote. And an interesting thing to note is that he died on the same day as William Shakespeare. So the greatest English author and the greatest Spanish author dying on the same day. On the way back to my Airbnb, we passed a couple of statues of Miguel de Cervantes, also some government buildings, had some more great reactions, and hopefully I was able to inspire somebody and make someone's day a little bit brighter. And you probably guessed this, but just in case you didn't notice, my sign says Yo creo en ti, which is I believe in you in Spanish. Every time I go on a trip, I bring my sign, and so in this case, I had to make a totally new one in Spanish. And once again, huge shout out to Philip, my guide on the tour. He made the whole thing a blast. I'll put his Instagram as well below in the description. Give him a follow. He lives the dream. He gets to run around awesome cities around the world and show people a good time on their vacation. Thank you, Philip. And remember, if you give the like button a hug and subscribe, you are not lining my pockets. Instead, you are doing good by helping this channel get closer to making money that I will donate 100% of to charity. And remember that I really mean this from the bottom of my heart, and I have the sign to prove it. I believe in you.